Yo, what up gamers, my name is Dark and I'm a master tier ADC main. Caitlyn is the highest naturally ranged ADC in the game. This makes her one of the strongest bullies during the laning phase and a considerable force to reckon with in the late game. In this guide I'll run you through the basics you need to know in order to succeed with Caitlyn ADC in our favorite game, League of Legends. Let's start off with her abilities. Caitlyn's passive is that every 6 auto attacks, her next auto deals significant extra damage based on her total AD, and scales even further with crit chance. This can deal an insane amount of damage in lane, and so it's important to pressure with it as hard as you can. Whenever it's up or about to come up, you should always try and walk up to hit an opponent, preferably the ADC, to deal a large amount of damage with a single auto. If they back off, try and hold on to it until you actually need it to last hit so that you can hopefully deny a CS or two. In some wave states where the wave is pushing towards you, you can even intentionally miss some CS to hold your headshot for even longer, as in that wave state, the enemy will miss a lot more last hits than you will, forcing them to either walk up and tank the headshot or hand you a significant CS lead. Standing in the bush while auto-attacking also grants 2 stacks per auto. It's rare for this effect to have an impact, but it's important to keep it in mind in situations where you can stand in a brush without it being a big inconvenience. Caitlyn Q is the linear skill shot, which also has extraordinarily long range. It deals full damage to the first target it hits and 50% damage to every target after that. The damage onto a champion if it's the first target hit is extraordinarily high, but it's important not to get greedy and tunnel vision on these full damage harassment shots. Because Caitlyn Q is also an amazing wave control ability, able to outpush pretty much every ADC at level 1 and the vast majority even later on. By thinning out the enemy wave to be smaller than yours, you'll have more minions backing you up during trades and fights and have the enemy at a disadvantage, forcing them to play further back where you can start to play more aggressively. You should mostly go for full damage Qs onto champions, going out of your way to not hit the mini wave, only if you already have the waves in a perfect state and don't want to alter it for as long as possible. However, even when you're using Q to push, you should also try to hit champions with it whenever possible, as even at half damage, the poke can really build up and help you obtain an HP advantage, along with the help of your superior ranged auto attacks. Caitlyn's W places a trap with a very thin hitbox, which after a small arming time, will snare any enemy that walks over it. On top of this, it doubles the range of your next auto attack onto them for the next 1.8 seconds, which will also be a guaranteed headshot, which deals even more bonus damage than usual. Marked enemies also take full damage from your Q, no matter how many targets it passes through before hitting them. The consequences for stepping on these traps are great, making Caitlyn a terrifying pairing with supports that can lock down opponents long enough for Caitlyn to land a free trap on them. Caitlyn Lux and Caitlyn Morgana are both known as terrifying one-shot snare combo duos for this reason. Whenever an opponent steps on your trap, you'll want to immediately start with a Q while they're snared and can't dodge it, and then follow it up with an auto, as this will be guaranteed to hit even if they flash after the route is over. Besides being a great follow-up to LICC, these traps are also great zoning tools, used to limit the areas where the enemies can move, and even able to block off entire passages in some cases. Place traps last between 30 and 50 seconds based on skill level, and Caitlyn can hold and place between 3 and 5 traps depending on skill level. Caitlyn E shoots a net in the direction of cost while making her dash in the opposite direction. If the net hits an enemy, it deals magic damage while also doubling the range of your next auto attack, which will again be a headshot. This ability is both a mobility tool as well as a damage one. You can also pull off some very useful combos. The most important one is EQ, where shortly after pressing E, you cast Q. When timed right, the combo results in Q casting from the position you were in before your E dash, resulting in a ridiculously long range Q, which is very likely to hit thanks to your E slow. Once Q is over, you can also follow up the Q with an ultra ranged headshot, resulting in a 3-part damage combo which can deal a scary amount of damage in a short amount of time. The only issue with this is that it's hard to use aggressively due to E's short range, and is much better when used as a disengage on people walking up to trade with you. The combo is very simple to execute, but you may want to just give it a quick try and practice tool so you can figure out what the timing is. Once you figured it out, you'll notice the timing is very generous and you can basically never fail the combo. But it's important to note that the combo requires a small delay after E before using Q. Using Q instantly after E will result in a much slower combo, which is less likely to have Q land. The second combo is EW, which again requires a specific timing you'll need to go into practice tool to figure out. This combo is a more defensive one, using E as a dash to get away and slow an enemy, while also unexpectedly placing a trap right in front of them, which they'll have to either walk around or set off due to the E slow. This combo is a lot more complicated due to the precise aim needed to set the trap at an optimal location, but extremely rewarding when executed right, as it'll give you 2 headshots and ruin the enemy's chances of catching you. Caitlyn's ultimate channels for 1 second before shooting a very high damage bullet onto the target champion. This bullet can be blocked only by other enemy champions, but will pass through minions, monsters, and turrets. This damage is now also increased by Caitlyn's crit chance as well as her bonus AD. This ability can be used as an execute for low HP targets, but also as a harass tool. The former is the most obvious use of the cooldown, and you mustn't fall into the trap of only using it that way. Ace in the hole is actually optimally used for harass, especially if the enemy has no sustain. When facing shield supports, you'll want to wait until their shield is on cooldown before using this ability so none of the damage can be blocked by shields. When not against shield supports, you'll want to hold on to it until the enemy support and ADC are far enough apart from each other, such as when the support is warding or trying to get into position to threaten you, that the support doesn't have time to get in front of the shot to tank it for their ADC. With enchanters, this is less important since finding timings where the shield is down is hard enough, and damage onto a squishy enchanter if they do block it is still a lot more valuable than hitting a tanky frontliner like Leona. Using Caitlyn's ultimate this way as a harass throughout the game ensures that you're dealing as much damage as possible with it throughout the game, onto the best possible targets, as saving it only for a finisher leaves too many chances that it will get blocked or shielded, which is a waste in comparison. Now let's talk about her runes. As a keystone, you can either use Fleet Footwork or Lethal Tempo. Against double range bot laners, I would advise using Fleet Footwork to stay healthy and immobile, but against melee supports, especially into tankier comps, I would advise using Lethal Tempo since their low range makes it easy to stack up your Lethal Tempo and get a lot of damage from it in lane. Then you have the choice of either Overheal, Triumph, or Presence of Mind depending on which you prefer. Most people like Presence of Mind to keep their mana topped up. Next you want Legend Bloodline, and then Coup de Grace or Cut Down are both viable options. Caitlyn is quite low base HP, making her a good choice for Cut Down, especially if you start Cole or Longsword. Finally, for secondary tree, I advise going into Sorcery for absolute focus and Gathering Storm for more mid and late game damage. Finally, you'll always want the attack speed shard with the Adaptive Force Shard, and for defense, you'll usually want Armor to deal with the enemy ADC, but you should swap it to Amar if you notice you'll likely be facing a mage bot liner. Moving on to items. Your options are either Doran's Blade, Longsword 3 pots, or Cole. I usually advise taking Doran's Blade, but either of the other two options will get you more damage out of Cut Down should you choose to take it, and get you to your core build faster. Then for Mythic, your two choices are Gale Force or Kraken Slayer. Gale Force is typically the best choice for Caitlyn, but sometimes against tanky enough comps you may find yourself forced to go Kraken Slayer in order to output enough damage. With Gale Force, your second item choices are Fire Cannon or Collector. With Kraken Slayer, your choices are the same but with the added option of Phantom Dancer. Fire Cannon is a great item on Caitlyn as it gives you more chances of poking with Headshot. Collector synergizes well with Caitlyn's massive ability base damages and helps execute targets with ult or Gale Force. Phantom Dancer meanwhile gives the largest amount of attack speed possible to maximize Kraken Slayer passive procs, while also providing a little AD to make use of Kraken Slayer's significant AD ratio on its passive. For your third item, you'll always want to use Infinity Edge, and at this point your choices become more diverse as you finish the core build you need to deal significant DPS as an ADC, so you can start considering more situational choices. The most common option at this point is Lord Dominic's Regards to deal with the armor the enemies most surely have built by this point, as well as the enemy's natural armor scalings. If Armor Pen isn't necessary, however, you can build Fire Cannon if you don't already have it for the poke damage. Fire Cannon is an amazing scaling item because the more items you have, the more damage you deal with a single poke auto. Bloodthirster is a great choice if you want a mix of damage and survivability. Jay is a great cheap survivability choice if you feel you already have all the damage you need and just want to survive. Maw of Mount Mortius is an amazing survivability choice to deal with high magic damage, and Mercurial Scimitar will help you deal with certain CCs. For your final item, your choices are the same as your fifth item, though you'll usually have more room to gravitate towards defensive choices, since usually your first 3 items won't be enough to deal satisfactory damage in a lot of games. That's it for my Caitlyn guide. I hope you guys have found this helpful. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and let me know in the comments what champion you'd like to see a guide for next. Follow me on Twitch using the link in the description to hang out with me live, and I hope to see you all on the next video. Until next time, gamers.